2 men enter, 1 man leaves with $300,000. Okay, maybe other people are entering, but tonight, myself and Rob Coakley are going to have a Drafters Sicko draft battle. We're going to enter the Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship together, not together, at the same time. Rob's going to draft and I'm going to draft, and we're going to see who puts together the best team. You guys can tell us which team you like, which team you hate. Maybe you like both. Maybe you hate both. We're going to figure that out tonight and see if one of us can take down $300,000 on Drafters Fantasy. Let's do it. So
we have the best rocket ship in the game, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there.
We don't got to get into that. But the moment I saw that, the other rocket ship, I laughed. I've reached the stage in my life where I don't let those things bother me, but I can appreciate the humor in a stone cold copy of the brand that we have going here. But we have multiple brands, as you see here at the top. We are Best Ball Sickos, and that is the point of tonight's show. Rob and I are going to sicko it out, and hopefully some of you guys will join us in the Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship. If you have not yet signed up for Drafters, there's two big things to me. Everybody loves Underdog. DraftKings has awesome tournaments. We're drafting on there. Of course, we're drafting BBM. Who doesn't want $3 million or $1 million on DraftKings, etc.? But on Drafters, being a little smaller of a site. That being said, I mean, it's a smaller site, but like this is not chump change we're drafting for, right? Like a couple of years ago, it was like, man, I can win $1 million on Underdog. I can win like $50K on Drafters. This is $300,000 up top, and I have their site and everything about the format. The site, the draft experience has really grown on me over the course of the last couple of years, and they have really improved a lot of what they do. But most importantly for the Sickos, and why we're out here promoting this and drafting on this format or on this platform, is because this baby is going to overlay. And if you don't know what overlay means, it basically is that this is not going to fill, right? So they have to legally state how big the contest size is, right? And like what their rake is, what percentage they're taking in terms of taking off the top of the entry fees. We're not going to get close to that. And so what does that mean? That means you have to beat so many less teams, thousands and thousands, in my opinion, of where this is going to get to. Like, what do you think this is going to get to? 80K maybe out of 111,000. Let's just say 80,000 entries is what we might get to by NFL kickoff, and it's 111,000 team field. So it's the prize pool stays the same, but there's 80,000 teams instead. So there's 30,000 teams less you have to beat, right, to make money in this tournament. And you don't find that very often in best ball, to be totally honest with you. If you go draft on Underdog, right, the puppies fill in 2 days. The Pomeranians fill in 2 days. I think Best Ball Mania is going to fill or get very, very close. Most of this DraftKings, like maybe the DraftKings $10 doesn't fill, but I don't know. It's 60-something%. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it got really, really close. This is an opportunity that doesn't really happen very often. So on top of that, you obviously can take advantage of that. I think there are some very advantageous things you can do on Drafters that we'll talk about tonight and the rest of the month to get an edge. You can sign up with promo code SPIKE and you deposit $100. You don't have to deposit $100. You can deposit $10 for all you want or for all you care. But if you deposit up to $100, Drafters is going to give you $100. So boom, there's 10 teams right there, right? Deposit $100 plus you can get a free month of Spike Week. So you can use our Draft Hacker, Draft IQ, our rankings, premium tools, everything. If you sign up with promo code SPIKE, you just got to go to the website and email us. And I will be the one personally getting you set up for that. I also just auto drafted a couple picks in a draft that I was in as a sicko here just now. So ignore that team for anybody that was in there. But I'm excited to hop into this tournament. Rob and I have both been drafting like goddamn fiends in Drafters for the last few days. So before we hop in, has there been anything that's like really stuck out to you? You don't have to give away all your secrets to me since we're going head to head tonight, but has there been anything that you've like really kind of, as you've drafted so many times, really like started to sink your teeth into on Drafters?
So I have chaos behind me, so I apologize. But
Not me. It's not me for once.
for once, what I will say, this is going to be like a weird thing to bring up. I mean, I like drafters. There's still values for players and all that stuff. Drafters is the easiest site to multi-table out of all 3 sites on mobile, and it's
That's a
not
good call.
really particularly close. Just their interface for that particular thing is amazing. I love being able to, and I'm
The little
multi-tabling.
pills, the little
Yeah.
pills at the top, right? So when you're on the app, especially, they do it on the desktop too. But for
Yep.
what Rob is talking about, if you haven't drafted on there before, when you're on the app, right, it's really hard on both Underdog and on DraftKings has the little button at the bottom that's kind of annoying. Yeah, it works, but it's still not great. Underdog, once you're in that draft room, right, there's nothing you can do. You can't see what's going on in your other draft. On drafters, there's a little kind of banner at the top with these what we call pills that show you the other drafts that you're in at that same time and how far away you are from being on the clock. And then of course when you're on the clock, and you can just keep clicking back. They're like, it's like tabs on your laptop or whatever. It really is. It's awesome. It's great for multi-tabling on mobile and on desktop too.
Yeah, and I'm trying to max out that tournament now. I decided late to do that, which is probably my biggest mistake of the entire year, not starting to do more of these early. But I'm going to be trying to get 150 drafts in within a month and a half, on top of still doing my other drafts on other sites. So
I'm 32 in. I got 118 to go in whatever 25 days.
yeah, I'm like 25 in or something, but I'm smashing 2 at a time is what I'm doing, and a couple different slow ones, which I hate, but still trying to get them all in there because it's just the value's too good.
I totally agree. One thing I will say, just of course, for if you've been hanging out with us, you're probably a little bit familiar with drafters. We've been drafting on here for a couple of years, but of course this year several times already. If you're but like I said, if you're new to the channel, new to drafters, the 2 main things that you really need to know. It is cumulative scoring, right? So if you come from Underdog or you come from DraftKings, or even you come from your home league, this is your first best ball experience. I actually would say this is probably the best place to go if this is your first best ball experience. They have a really great
something I agree with.
$3 tournament as well, a low stakes tournament. So like you can get your get your feet wet for very limited amount of money, and there's no playoffs. There's none of that stuff. You draft a team in a 12 team draft. So you against 11 other people in that draft. And once you're done with that draft, it is you against everybody else in that tournament. Score the most points. That is the goal from week 1 to week 17. I kind of love the playoff from my because I can really galaxy brain some stupid stuff, and me, that's what I like to do. But from a really straightforward and pureness of fantasy football, I think a lot of people would agree that the cumulative format that Drafters has is probably the best parallel to that. And like I said, coming from your season-long league, you don't have to worry about all this playoff nonsense that we're talking about all the time in week 17. And then the other thing is,
it allows you to work on some basics without having to get into some of the more advanced concepts, right? So
yep,
it allows you to get into the things that you need to know for the other tournaments, but you can season yourself a little bit here by getting used to your stacking, like your team stacking and stuff, and then worrying about week 17 correlation and all the other jazz when you get to the other sites, and just gives you like a good base. Is so when I tell people, and I've said it for the last 2 years, when people ask me where they should play first, I always say there's, again, to your point, the $3 tournament. I don't think you should start in the 20. I think you should start at the $3 tournament, get your feet wet a little bit, get used to these tournaments. And then if you still want to play more and you want to start diving into some of the other sites, that gives you a base knowledge to do so.
absolutely. I could not agree more. We love our friends at Drafters. Also to our Canadian friends, shout out Updog. We'll hop into this lobby here in just a second. Updog. The only other thing I was going to mention, if you're new, it is full point PPR. So if you have played on Underdog or you come from a different scoring setting in your home league, it is full point PPR. No bonuses like DraftKings. Everybody got to do their own stupid shit with scoring, right? Half PPR, and then DraftKings has bonuses for yardage and all this stuff. Pretty straightforward. Full point PPR. Everything else is about what your standard scoring would be. Should we go ahead and just hop into this $20 though? Looks like
let's do it.
It's one out of 12. I can share my screen.
Okay.
So this will be perfect. Anybody that wants to get in, we got a full fresh lobby as Updog let us know. We need 10 more. Hello, Josh.
No, we only need 5 more.
Olaf, Jesus. Hello, Olaf. Hello, everyone. Graphic. That is by the way, this is an awesome use of the emojis with the sickness in the middle of the. I kind of like that. Where I'm going to steal something along those lines. Also, 13 was my number, my football number back in the day. So I'm partial to this guy. Also, that's a sweet Avi. We need to contact this guy. We need to bring this guy on board.
No, I like it. 13. I was 3 usually.
I was 3. That's really funny. I was 3 all the way like my middle school, high school, and all that kind of stuff. And then I got to college, and one of the big dogs on the team was 3. And you come in, you don't get to take the captain's number, as an underclassman. So I had to get something else, and got 13. My freshman year, I wore 37. You don't get to pick your number as a freshman, right? They just say, whatever, you're at the end of the, you're the 112th man on the team. You get whatever fucking number is left over, and you get the shitty number. I got 37. And then from then on, I finally got a good number.
We didn't get to pick our number freshman year either. I ended up with 30, which was nice because it just inversed 3. But we had a senior that was a cornerback. They got like number 57 or something. And I was like, why does he have? I mean, he was not good at football. I'll just say that. But like, not that I was going to get on the field as a freshman on this team. Like, our team was loaded. Why was I not given 57 when he got 30? You know what I mean? He's a senior.
That's it. You always know who the bad football players are, but based on the number, right? Like, if you are a skill position player and you got 37, 39, 29, 47, shit with 7s, unless it's in the teens. 17 is okay, 7 is okay. But you get to anything with 7, 7 or 9 or whatever, like nobody wants that shit. The 4s too, like 34, maybe a running back, but like the numbers, it's a big deal. So like you said, you spot a corner. Like if I'm playing, I played quarterback until my senior year. I moved positions. If you spot a corner with number 57, baby, we are checking whatever the play call is, and we are going at that dude because there is no chance that he is any good over there. All right, where are we at here? Did I get the 102 for real? Are you muted? Yes, you're muted.
This is unreal. I don't even know how to pull my draft up, to be honest. I'm trying to figure this out right now. I haven't drafted on Drafters on desktop in a while.
The pill will show up at the top on the homepage or anywhere, I think.
Do they?
It says pre-draft.
Yeah. Pre-draft. Got it. Did I really get the one? What did I get? The one?
Where are you? Oh yeah, you got your 104.
Oh, no,
that's fine. You can't.
Okay.
You can't complain. Who else is in here? Jason.
I can still complain. Do you know who I am?
Yeah, that is a very good point. C Slave. I don't know if I can say your name too many times here. All right, we're off and running. It is so awesome. We're going to run the clock down so that I can just have a quick rant about the fact that we're having a one-on-one battle of me and Rob in a draft, and I get Georgie's.
Again.
Is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's unreal. We've jumped into drafts not on purpose. I think we've been to like 3 not on purpose together, and in 2 of them, you've gotten the 102. It's just...
That is true. The BBM we did, last week or something like that, where this is like talk about sicko stuff and illnesses and all that. Like, we obviously stream together and draft together a ton through there, and then I'll let you talk about your pick. But like, we hop into random drafts and end up in them together more frequently than I care to admit. And then random things where we're thinking very much alike is getting a little bit worrisome.
Today was the sickest one of all time.
Yes, is getting a little bit worrisome. I can't let my wife know about kind of the mind meld that we're starting to have. But The positive is that I'm the one getting all the Jamar Chase this year, so it's not like I get to root for him, and your favorite player and favorite first round pick. Where are you at, like exposure wise, on him across all three of the sites?
I'll pull it up. I'll look it up. The one that we did today, though, like in terms of the mind meld, we were thinking of what to title this episode. And I shit you not, everyone. We both sent it at the same time. We both decided just to call it Drafters Battle. And it like sent at the same time. And I literally was like, I'm done with the rest of the day because this is
I logged off Slack. I went for a walk. You know, probably poured myself a glass of whiskey, and I was like, this is not a good day.
This has to stop. This
it does.
Continue.
It really does. Gerardo says he got the worst spot at the 106. I'm okay with the 106. I feel like the 108 is my least favorite spot. Especially on drafters. I think the full point PPR, I think the cumulative scoring. I know Travis Kelce didn't take it down last year. But I think that was not necessarily because of Travis Kelce. I think it was, sometimes other guys hit the nuts on the other players. When someone else drafted Jalen Hurts and Josh Jacobs and George Kittle and, drafted a bunch of the stone cold smashes, which of course could happen, but you can win with Travis Kelce. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you can't win with Austin Eckler. Of course you can, but I feel okay with the 106. I feel bad at like 108, 109, 110 because they're like all the same to me. Like Diggs, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, CD, those guys are all the same. I would rather get a guy in a higher tier if I'm getting a first round pick.
All right, so this is not a bit. I actually have 8% across the board on every site for
so
Jamar
quit
Chase.
Fucking complaining. You're not even underweight. I don't want to hear any more complaints.
It was very underweight until recently. I had like this slew of 102s, but I think through my first 80 something drafts, I only got the 102 twice on BBM, which was crazy.
Isn't that funny though? A good example of you'll get people early in the summer, us sickos that are drafting in May and late April this year and June and stuff. And your first X amount of drafts, you're like, dude, I have no Chase. I have no whatever, Kelce. I have no, and that's, you don't want that. And then it has a funny way of evening itself out. You know what I mean? Like you have 8%. You personally, I know, knowing you would prefer to have more, but like if you had started to do drastic things and every time you got the 101 taking Jamar Chase, and maybe you have done that a couple of times, but now you're sacrificing Jefferson, and at the end of the summer you actually would have ended up like with 8% of both of them, and it would have been okay.
Right, it would have been fine.
All right. I wonder who this is going to be. Oh.
I have ideas. I have ideas on this draft.
Okay. Interesting. Do you always take Tyreek at the 104?
No, I mix Cup in there sometimes. On full point PPR, I have dabbled with throwing Eckler at the 4 or the 5, just very occasionally, just to come back and hit later wide receivers that I like as well, and to try to get a Justin Herbert stack that I want to get. So I've mixed Eckler, not on BBM or not on a half point PPR, but definitely there. I'm gonna
take your guy because I'm gonna do something fun here. I don't want you to have him, and I got some ideas. I've been drafting. I don't draft a lot of the elite quarterbacks, in general. And where did Andrews go? Oh, B. Kurt. Goddamn Bernie. I didn't even notice that he was gone, so that's not ideal. I'm gonna take DK. I've been taking a little bit more Mahomes, and people will snipe me later. That's fine. I'll give it away. But with the new Tony price, right, outside of the top 100, like on all sites, basically, with the new Tony price, and then with all the other options that we have at Kansas City wide receivers, I'm pretty excited to take a little bit more Mahomes and get some Mahomes, Tony, MVS, Mahomes, Tony, Richie James, Mahomes, MVS, Rashee Rice, Mahomes, right? And Justin Ross got hurt again today, so I think it. I wasn't drafting him anyway, but I do think it like just kind of clears things up a little bit. Richie James is getting some hype, which is unfortunate because he's going to rise, but I don't care that much if he rises a round or two. I'm still going to take him. I know you've always been on the Chiefs. I'm not saying anything that you weren't already, on, but it's just kind of started to solidify in my mind a little bit, especially as I've been drafting more on Drafters and DraftKings. Underdog, I feel very wary of getting buried when I take the second round quarterback. Whereas on these sites, Drafters is actually really sharp too, but like DraftKings, like, dude, if I take late second Mahomes, like I'm still getting Bateman goes 110 overall. You know what I mean? Like Treylon Burks goes at pick 100. Like I don't really, it doesn't bother me too much on DraftKings. And so I've been drafting a little bit more Mahomes.
You're not getting behind as much at wide receiver on DraftKings, and quarterbacks are arguably more valuable on DraftKings. So
Mahomes is going to get the bonus like every week.
Yeah. Like it's just kind of a lock. Like he's probably the best pick on the board. And I try not to talk about him anymore because it's just, it's something I've done for 2 years. But do you remember last year when we were like, we're not going to be able to draft Mahomes with his receivers like in late rounds ever again? And fast forward a year and we're just drafting Mahomes with his receivers in late rounds all the time again. Like, I would just take it while you got it, is what I would say. And
I think
that's
the
why
market is so tied to what happened last year. Like you said, everyone was saying this last year, right? Why did Sky Moore rise? Why was Juju going in the 5th round? Why did all that? Why MVS got up to the 8th or 9th round? Why did all that happen? Because last year everyone said, this doesn't make any sense. This is the greatest quarterback of all time, and he doesn't run. He's a passer. There's this gaping 30% target share gone from Tyreek Hill, and we need to fill that. Even though Travis Kelce is awesome, and they don't have to be Tyreek Hill. They don't have to be a 1st round pick or a 2nd round pick to be really good in best ball specifically, right? In managed leagues, I don't know that I want to have to decide on starting Richie James or MVS or whatever, but in best ball, I don't care about that. They just need to produce playing with the best quarterback of all time. Now all they did was get cheaper, and we removed Juju and Hardman. We tossed Juju and Hardman to the side, and Tony, who knows? I'm drafting Tony, but like, who knows? So now MVS is going to play, dude. And like Sky, Richie James, Rashee Rice, like someone is going to emerge into something useful. And that's the thing about last year is we can say whatever we want. Juju was useful. The problem for Juju was he went in the 5th round last year. None of these guys go that high anymore. So like if you get Juju from one of those guys out of the Chiefs, right? If Richie James is Juju or Sky Moore is Juju, that's a home run at their cost. It's just that we're clouded by the fact that Juju was a bust because we just anointed him the man, right? And it wasn't very good as a 5th round pick. But what about as a 13th round pick? Yeah, sign me up for that. You know what I mean?
Well, we're doing that with MVS too. Like he was a 7th round pick last year, and everyone still feels like they got burned from him. He's moved up now, but we were getting him in the 14th round at the beginning of this draft season. It's just like he's going to be on the field all the time. 14th round MVS. What do you need from him? What are your expectations from a 14th round MVS? 3 usable like potential spike weeks? Thanks, I'll take it. That's basically what he did last year. Was 3 basic, weeks that were really, really good.
I'm curious to see what you do here. I like the start though. Tyreek, Olave, T. Oh, mother. A reason to draft right now. There's 2 reasons, and they're both running backs, which makes me ill. 2 reasons to draft right now are sometimes Breece Hall falls to a spot that is absurd. We talked about yesterday. I don't want to go into like too crazy much with Breece, but I'm obviously taking McLaurin. You guys know me, and J.K. Dobbins. Room with another spike week person. I never get either of those guys. So I like stopped saying when I'm drafting because I just know that one of the, I think it was Silas earlier today sniped me, and it was brutal. We're going to build out a little Seattle stack alongside my Mahomes. And this is good. Three reasons to draft now. Those two running backs and Najee. Shout out, Felix.
Gotta do it. This was actually my easiest 2 picks in a draft of all time, and I'll tell you why in 1 second. But
T and Brees, or Brees and this guy?
Brees and Burrow. I knew you guys weren't taking quarterbacks here. All 3 of you had already grabbed QBs. So Brees is the easy grab there, and then I'm obviously going to get Burrow coming back in the 5th round. So, that was super easy, to be completely honest.
That's our Tuesday night show that we're on here. Obviously, Spike Week Sickos, kind of generally a little bit of the Sicko kind of advanced, crazy best ball stuff. Sometimes a little galaxy brain, but also sometimes like just a little bit beyond, pick the best player analysis type stuff. You assess the board and you said, once I get over to this side of the board, the 101 has Hurts, Eric has Mahomes, the 103 has Allen, and the guy next to me has Lamar, right? And they let T fall back to me. And now I have Tyreek, Olave, T, Brees Hall, and I know Burrow's coming back to me. Like, it is a lock, especially in this room with a bunch of smart, not saying I'm smart, but everybody else, a bunch of smart people in here. It's just a stone cold lock, and now you have anchor Brees with 3 stud wide receivers and Joe Burrow. It's an awesome start.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Although yours is pretty fun too.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm gonna be honest. I think JSN is a great prospect. I think he's gotten steamed up a little too much, and I don't like the price as much as I used to like it. To be completely honest, I just like all the guys around him a little more.
Yeah, that part is fair. I think he deserves to go kind of in that tier. Ayuk, Godwin, right? Gabe, obviously his teammate Tyler Lockett. I think the reason why I really like JSN around this cost is that I would say those other guys' median expectation is definitely better. But if anyone's going to break out and be like a 1st round pick next year, it's him. And you know me, that's my kind of dude, right? Like the guy that could tank this team, but the guy that could also like just emerge because he's a super a year and a half ago or whatever, before his last year at Ohio State, we were talking about him like we talk about Marvin Harrison right now, which is like transcendent wide receiver prospect, like top 5 pick or whatever. And then it did not go according to plan in his final year at Ohio State with injuries. But like, I don't think that changed anything for me personally. And I think that the landing spot has only made his cost like reasonable. I don't think it's made him like he is way too cheap on DraftKings. That price is fucking egregious. I'm going to have like way too much JSN on DraftKings. On here, I think this is an efficient price, but I think he's one, like Chris Godwin is not going to be a 1st round pick next year. Right. I love Gabe. Gabe is not going to be a 1st round pick next year. JSN like feasibly could, or like 2nd or 3rd or something like that. Right. Tyler Lockett's getting older. We are excited about this offense. So I like JSN quite a bit. I also like full PPR. I think he's a little bit better in full PPR versus underdog, where like Metcalf on underdog is kind of Jesus Christ, he's a grown ass man. This is a fair question from Josh, and then we'll talk about you taking the other guy I wanted to take at this turn. Of course, I'm losing this battle, by the way. This battle is not going well. But where is the volume coming from at the cost for JSN? It's that he's awesome. That's where's the volume coming from, is that he's a star. Will he be that? Who knows? I certainly don't. I definitely don't know. Apparently, you really do have to know your draft room. So we're going Javonte. I hate paying the premium price on Javonte. We were getting him at a lot cheaper costs earlier in the summer, but we also have a lot more knowledge now about Javonte. He's one of those guys where I feel better. We're gonna do Waller and lock up lock up my elite quarterback, lock up my elite tight end. I got Javonte versus your Brees as my anchor. I'm fine going to war with this. I like, Brees and Dobbins, as I said, I'm just going to battle with those guys as much as I can right now, but I'm cool with my team.
Yeah, I had a decision on this one, but I decided just to go with the other receiver.
Yeah,
I could have
talk
locked
about
in.
your team. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so I was debating on locking in Kyle Pitts here for an elite tight end build, but I think even though I have Hill, Olave, Higgins, I like getting the upside of Quentin Johnson in the 7th round and having Dobbins and Hall on this team as well with Joe Burrow. I didn't want to just fill out a starting lineup, which I don't think is always the worst case scenario if it fits the team. Kyle Pitts would have fit the team, and then we could have just like kind of banged out wide receivers and running backs. I think that my 2 dogs that are here are taking this drafters battle way too literal, to be completely honest, as they have had a death match for the past 30 minutes, which is interesting. Jason, we've talked about this. The Dobbins clip at camp today looked really good. Seems like a fake injury, semi holdout. Yeah, that's been my read on the situation for since it started. Is basically he wanted a new contract. He had, quote unquote, an injury that he could use to hold out of camp from last year that was theoretically lingering. They're they do stuff like this just to play a little bit of leverage, but he actually has no leverage based on a lot of different factors. But I think he's fine. He's going to be fine. He's going to scream up draft boards. In another week, you're going to say, wow, you got him in, a draft with a lot of other smart people in the 6th round is just not going to be something you're going to be able to do. So I've been grabbing him around early throughout the last couple days for sure, because he's just not going to fall to you at ADP unless people in the draft are just not paying attention anymore. That's the only way he's going to fall to you, is if you're with 11 people that just aren't knowledgeable on the situation or just forget about it, which might happen occasionally, but it ain't going to happen often. So you want Dobbins, you better start grabbing him a little bit early.
Yep, that's what I've been doing. You can do kind of what you did in terms of read your room, who's in your room, how are those people drafting, what do they need, and like play a little bit of an ADP game, right? Like you don't have to take him. Like the point of us going so hard on him right now is because he's a value. So use the value. Don't take him at 55 overall. But also the point is to get him a lot, right? The point is to draft him a lot. And so whether you get him at 75 or 82, like it doesn't matter. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Is anytime I get somewhere in the ballpark of his ADP, I'm just taking him.
Where do you think he ends? Like last day of drafting, where do you think Dobbins is going to be?
He won't rise far enough. I think we have a little bit of a precedent for some of these guys who people get anchored to the fact that they went really late and don't want to. You don't want to take a guy at 45 that's been going at 85. I think the market has kind of told us they don't want to do that. So, but man, I mean, he's so underpriced. I think I have him ranked in the late 40s. I think. So I would say by the very end, it's really hard to move up that far. I'll call it underdog's very different. He's going like 68th, but here on drafters, he's been going in the 80s. I'll say 60, something like that is where he would end.
Okay. So somewhere in the 5th round, you're thinking?
Yeah, I think in the 5th.
I was going to say late 4th, so sort of the same idea here.
Which is where he was going, like, again, especially on underdog, that's where he was going. Late 4th, early 5th was where Dobbins' ADP was. And he has plummeted because of, as Jason said, he wasn't hurt. It was a hold in. He was trying to not practice while they discussed a contract.
Yeah, he's been one of the RBs that obviously I've been targeting along with Brees Hall, which I'm going to be targeting even more. I actually might lay off a Brees Hall in most drafts for another week and just let him plummet down the draft boards and just get him at an even better value. So that's something I've been considering with Brees Hall. And I just grabbed the other one that I've been grabbing a decent amount of, which is Kamara, because dude, it just feels like if he has 90%, 80% of what he used to be able to do, he's just going to eat this year. And it might be the last Kamara year, but everything's breaking right for him. Like,
I mean,
just
God,
literally everything is breaking right for him.
everything is not breaking right for me. If it makes you feel any better, I wanted Tony and Pacheco right there, and the guy in the 101 has a bunch of running backs. So I was like, okay, let's push Pacheco around the corner and see if he comes back. So I guess we'll just take Gibson. Kamara's an interesting one where I don't want to say I was lazy, because I definitely I wouldn't say that. What I would say is, if I set aside the situation, I don't mean the suspension, I mean like the Saints, Carr, right, and the whole offense. If I set aside that, my assessment of Kamara was actually that, like, a little bit Dalvin Cook-esque, where people are holding on to the name. That's really funny that you take him as I'm talking about that, but a little bit Dalvin Cook-esque, where people are holding on to the right. People are burying Brees because, which I just now realized you're gonna have to fucking explain yourself for this nonsense. But people are burying Brees because of Dalvin Cook, the name, not so much Dalvin Cook, the player, right now, right? People do this with a lot of old players. People did this with DeAndre Hopkins, who I still think is good and I still think is a fine pick or whatever. But people were like, if DeAndre Hopkins goes to the Chiefs, is he a first round pick? And it's like, whoa, buddy, like this isn't 2018 DeAndre Hopkins. I think people were doing that a little bit with Kamara, and I think I was really, really pushing back on that. Like, okay, they drafted Kendra, they brought in Jamal. We know Taysom's going to do his Taysom bullshit. Michael Thomas is back. Chris Olave has emerged. Like, where really is the production coming from Kamara, who has regressed as a football player, very much so as a runner? He has regressed. But where I've started to peel that back a little bit is mainly on PPR sites like Drafters, like DraftKings, where I think he's very clearly going to be like a weapon in the passing game. I don't know that he's going to get like a ton of carries, but on PPR sites, do I give a shit if he gets 8 carries versus 12 carries? No, baby, throw me 6 passes and let him cook in the passing game at this cost. When he, and especially like on DraftKings in the playoff format where I don't have to worry about the suspension. Like, I've started to draft him, and you know how I draft with, like, I'm just hammering wide receivers so much that I do need some running back juice around that cost, that I've come around a little bit on Kamara. But explain this Dalvin thing. What are you doing?
Okay, so look at the board since I've drafted. The wide receivers that have gone off the board are Michael Thomas, Romeo Dubs, right? We like some of these running backs. Like, I like Brian Robinson. Samaje P. Ryan's fine. Charbonnet's okay. If you want to do some, and I don't handcuff backs or like play dual backfields too often. I do it here and there. But if you wanted to do it with the Jets, if you wanted to do a Brees Hall, Dalvin Cook team, you have about 48 hours to do it. When
That is true.
Right? Because they're both going to be going this way down the board. So you're going to be investing way too much draft capital after another 2 days. So if you want to try to do a Dalvin Cook team with Brees Hall, you have like today and tomorrow, I would say. Maybe I'm giving, maybe we need a little more time on that, but I think that is your window, right? You're looking at basically a 48, 72-hour window to do something that makes sense, where you can still get Dalvin Cook in round 9. We know he's going to move up. We know Brees Hall might move down a round, but if they're going 5, 6, or 4, 6, it's definitely not worth it. The players in the range of Dalvin Cook right now, like, I like some of them, but yeah, that is what I'm doing here. Is I'm just going to do maybe 1 or 2 on each site where I get both guys, but I'm not going to do it too often.
Goddamn, Charles is rapid firing. That was like 3 seconds. He just jammed both those picks in. I was listening to you, trying to like think about my picks, and also being, a generous co-host. And god damn, I'm sticking to my guns on Damian Harris. I can't help myself. This Damian Harris FUD is out of control. If I have to hear anything any more about Latavius Murray in gym shorts looking good, like I can't do it. I can't do it. Damian Harris will be all right. Trust in the player and the talent, and let itself play out. But so I took Tank, right? And I think he's a good example of why, like what you started with, like look at the running backs going around that guy. And I am buying some Tank, even though he's risen a ton, because I think we have, again, it's okay when they don't rise through like a crazy range of right. If you go from the 13th round to the 6th round or something like that, like I don't want to be investing too much in that kind of a riser. Tank has risen from like whatever, let's call it the 13th round to the 10th round. He's really not jumping anybody that's so substantial, but we do have new information on guys like him, and I will buy the rise on guys like him. But to your point, that's the kind of guy now that's going in that range, right? 100 to 120. It is Tank Bigsby. It is Devin Achane. It is Tyler Algier. It is, right? Because we, like, as the summer goes on, you like the player pool weeds out a little bit, right? Because some of the guys that were uncertain just like start to plummet, and some of the other guys start to rise. Some of the guys who are not relevant, that we were drafting before, all this starts to become apparent. Who the backups are, right? All that who got hurt, all that, right? Look at the Marvin Mims rise. It's like, well, now we know what the Broncos offense looks like, other than Dulcich versus Adam Troutman, apparently. But like, you start to learn these things, and so you do have to pay a premium for that certainty. That's the point of drafting at this time of the year. But to that point is like, if you want to get any Dalvin Cook, now that we know he's in a spot, I hate the spot personally, but also if Breece is not ready, I can admit that Dalvin is going to be good for fantasy. Or if something happens to Breece, right? He's kind of just like any other guy in this range, right? Tank is pray to God he can score a touchdown and catch a couple passes while ETN is healthy. And if something happens to ETN, he's a stone cold smash. It's the same. That's what Dalvin is. Dalvin is like, while Breece is, kind of still rehabbing his knee, Dalvin can hopefully get you some usable weeks. And if something happens to Breece, he's a smash. That's this whole range. Everybody here, that's Jaylen Warren. What are you betting on? The same thing. All these guys are the same. They're all the same. And so to that point with Dalvin, he's not my cup of tea, but I get it. Like I said, what's the difference?
I don't draft Dalvin Cook either at all, but we're talking drafters. It's cumulative scoring. I'm locking in the score of the Jets running back the majority of weeks now. Especially, this is one of the few backfields that there is some slight potential that they do ping pong weeks.
Yeah.
Where, so.
Right. Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. It's Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones from the Packers. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So you could do both at the cost now, but I don't think you're going to be able to do it very soon. So
no, mostly because Dalvin's
going to move.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Am I coming back on the clock here? Oh, man. Gerardo is the worst. He's over here sniping. He's sniping everybody on everything out here.
That's what Did Updog delete his message, or he was mad at Gerardo. Gerardo's out here just burying people.
Just burying everybody, right?
Yeah, I agree, Johnny. Not my cup of tea, but at 120, I mean, at pick 120, what can you really say about a guy who's been productive? And speaking of what can you really say, I mean, I'm taking Kenny Gainwell, who has not really been my cup of tea either, but my RB1 is Javonte Williams, and I'm pretty good at every other position. Mm-hmm. Gainwell, and also on PPR sites. I like Gainwell. I like Gainwell better here too. Cumulative scoring, same thing. I like this is a format for some Jamal Williams. We talked about Jamal Williams last night. Like Jamal Williams is a better fit on drafters for me. Like when you get to week 17, is Jamal Williams really going to win you anything on those other sides? Probably not. But on here, it's not all about week 17. Week 1 is worth the same amount as week 17. So I like those guys more here.
People don't like the unsexy names. Like Jamal Williams might be the most unsexy name on the board, but
yes,
but we know he's getting usable weeks through 3 weeks for sure. Like 1, 2, and 3 when Kamara is out. He's going to be out there for the majority of the work, most likely. Even if they bring somebody in, Kendra is not doing much, right? So
he's hurt again.
That's my point. Is he's hurt? He was already staying out of practices. They are flirting with Kareem Hunt, but even if they bring Kareem Hunt in, I just think Jamal Williams is going to.
They signed Darrell Williams. I think Silas mentioned that to me. I showed you. Yeah, they signed Darrell. They signed the mentor. The Saints did.
Yeah, I mean, it just screams that
mess.
Not only is he going to have the first 3 weeks, he's still probably going to have a role when Kamara comes back.
The bet, that's the thing. The bet for Kendre was, buddy, you got 3 weeks to prove you're the man in this backfield before Kamara comes back and earn yourself the role for the rest of the season, right? And I do think Kendre is very talented. I was drafting Kendre. I was high on. I thought there's not a lot of late round running backs, especially rookies or whatever, where they don't need an injury or they don't need something really fluky to happen to become a smash. Kendre just needed to get healthy and play well for 3 weeks. Because if you play well for 3 weeks, even when Alvin Kamara comes back, then they'll figure out a way to play. Like, this is just how football coaches think, right? If you ball out for 3 weeks, they're not going to bench you. You know, like that's just how it works. We were just watching. My wife had never seen Any Given Sunday before, and it was on one of the channels on YouTube TV the other day. And we're watching this, and this is literally what happens in Any Given Sunday, right? They have their all-pro quarterback, old guy gets hurt. Jamie Foxx steps in, balls out, and they don't want to go back to the veteran, right? And that was the Kendre thesis was. Will that happen? Who knows? But this is an opportunity that you don't really get from a rookie, right? Usually the rookie thesis is, okay, but I mean, even the thesis for Breece Hall and Javonte Williams, who we both drafted, is like, yeah, the first few weeks are probably not going to be, he's not going to be, beating CMC. But as the season goes on, like wheels up, dude, he's just going to get healthier and earn more work because he's good. You don't get a lot of Kendres where it's like, dude, week 1, play well. You can be the man here. And it's not his fault. He got hurt again and he was hurt before, but now it just feels like this is going to be kind of a red shirt for Kendre. And next year is Kendre's year. And this year is Jamal and Kamara's year.
Yeah, I agree for sure. You're going to have to catch up. I think I'm crushing you in this draft.
Oh, no. You handcuffed your running back. You don't get to crush anybody.
I do get to crush you. It's a fun team.
I have literally your 2 favorite players to draft. You're coping. Just let the cope go. It's okay.
You do have my 2 favorite players.
To be fair, I think Tyreek might be my favorite player. I haven't first round pick. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the week 17 has ruined my brain. Because I love the Ravens. So anytime I can get Tyreek, I draft so many Ravens, dude. We talked about Dobbins, but Lamar's my favorite elite quarterback. Andrews is my favorite elite tight end. Bateman's price is stupid. I love all the Ravens, I guess, except Odell. I love Isaiah Likely in the last round. I love all of the Ravens. So when I get Tyreek, I guess, and I mean, he's awesome. And I get the Ravens thing on the other side. So I think that has ruined my brain. Exactly. Tyreek's going for 2K.
I am on the clock.
Yeah, I like Algier bags are good.
This might have been a mistake. Yep.
Irv.
I was trying to figure out how I could play this and get Roshan Johnson to come back to me, which clearly did not happen as he went the next pick. I just thought maybe I should have looked at the tight end board a little bit better.
Yeah, you probably could have waited.
I probably could have grabbed. I probably should have grabbed Roshan and then tried to.
I have.
Back.
All right, hold on. These running backs are real dusty. Who makes the most sense at wide receiver? I'll do pairs. This is. I mean, I don't, at least consciously, I don't consciously factor this into my process. I don't factor anything that happened the year before or whatever, like into my, I mean, in this manner. Of course, look at what happened last year. But I mean, I don't factor this into, see, I was either going to take Paris or Jaden Reed. I couldn't decide. But I think anyone would be lying if they said there wasn't some subconscious element of what happened last year in Ravens Dolphins that was the game of the year for fantasy, where you're like, that is now week 17 and both teams are better. Like both teams have gotten better, and look what they did last year is like, oh, and Jalen Ramsey's hurt already for the Dolphins. Like they trade for Jalen Ramsey and he gets hurt already. It's like, oh my God, man. Like, how does this game suck? And like everybody's, and not, look, I love Chiefs Bengals too, but like to me, it's those two games from like a point expectation and fireworks expectation. I think those two games are like really, really very similar, assuming everyone's healthy, right? If all four quarterbacks are playing and all the wide receivers and stuff are playing, I think that game is like, both of those games are like head and shoulders above the rest in week 17. Like that's appointment viewing. Both of those.
For sure. Something else I was thinking about after a conversation we had the other day, I can't remember if it was yesterday or last week because time is a flat circle and I don't know what's going on half the time. But we were talking about Tua at one point and like how he's like it's already hard to draft him because the point we brought up was you're only drafting him with Waddle or Tyreek generally. But I thought about that a little more and it's like, I'm kind of not even drafting him with Waddle or Tyreek either because of one of the points you brought up. I'm grabbing Lamar a lot on those teams already, or I'm doing an elite QB or a late QB build. And because Tua is like in that middle range, like I still overlook him on those teams. Like I'm aware he's there, but I'm like, nah, I'd rather grab three late quarterbacks, or I already went with one elite quarterback. I'm waiting for a late quarterback to bring on to this team. Like for example, this team right here, I grabbed Joe Burrow. Tua wasn't even a consideration where he went because I'm like, I'm going to grab Derek Carr late and I'm just going to grab the value here. Mm-hmm. Right. So maybe trying to offset that a little bit because I'm not completely out on Tua this year. I still kind of want him, but there's just a lot of ways to not get him. It's not even overlooking. I think he's one of the hardest players on the board to actually get where it makes sense.
He is so him, I put him, Burrow, and Herbert in a group that's very similar in that fashion, where you have to make a conscious effort to get that guy because they're all their weapon, right? You have Quentin Johnston, I know, but like you don't want, and like you have Tyler Boyd and Irv, but like the whole point of drafting those guys is to get them with the grown-ass men that they play with, the guys that are going to score all the points at wide receiver or running back with Eckler or whatever. And you have to take them early, but then you have to not take the elite quarterbacks, and then you have to not need a wide receiver or a running back or something in that spot because the wide receivers and running backs are still really juicy where those guys go. It's like really, really tough to like balance the fact that I want all those guys. And like Tua specifically goes in the 90s, which I think is a fair price. It's not underpriced. It's not overpriced. And like Tua had two of the biggest nuclear weeks last year of any quarterback. He had two 2 40-point weeks, or I think Lamar had 2 40-point weeks. Tua had 1 40-point week and another nuclear week. It's like he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and a genius play caller, and like there's nothing really negative to say about Tua other than I guess the injury stuff.
Right.
But it's like I need to make a conscious effort to get more of that kind of a guy, because I feel like it's a gap where it's just a little bit of not total laziness, but kind of laziness.
Yeah, it's someone that I'm like, I guess if I'm locked out of them, I'm not like overly upset about it, but I don't want to be.
Yep.
Is kind of where my brain's going.
What do you think
So I
about
need
Herbert? What do you think about Herbert versus Tua in terms of that? Like, if you get locked out of a quarterback, would you rather be locked out of Herbert or locked out of Tua? They
I'd
feel
rather be
similar
locked
to
out of
me.
Tua.
Herbert is better, but like they feel like similar in terms of their weapons go higher, and they're kind of
But
pocket passers.
to your point, I still feel like I can grab naked Herbert more so because of Quentin Johnson, and because I still don't mind doing Quentin Johnson, Gerald Everett. So like there's two outs there where I don't want anybody after Waddle.
My new flavor. I have to go get my new guy.
I just don't want anybody after Waddle or Tyreek Hill.
No. What are you going to do?
Like,
Braxton
Smythe?
Berrios?
Yeah,
Durham Smythe? Like, I draft Braxton Berrios like very occasionally. Like, I might have like 1% Braxton Berrios or something. But like, you don't win with Tua with Durham Smythe and Braxton Berrios, or him throwing a touchdown to Devin Achane. You win with the two guys who have 30% target shares and are two of the best wide receivers in the NFL. That's why you're drafting Tua, is because of Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah, it's so that's why it's easier to still get Herbert, because I will still grab naked Herbert, and you infuriate two people that you're drafting with when you do that, because one of them probably has Eckler and Mike Williams, or Eckler and Keenan Allen. The other guy's got Mike Williams. They're both trying to set up for this Justin Herbert situation, and you just take them and ruin people's days. And it's all happened to all of us as well. But at least there are outs for it, is my point. So, and you can still backstack that entire game.
Oh, yeah.
With Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, however you want to do that. Javonte Williams, if you're into Javonte Williams.
The Ravens run out at Bateman, Odell, I guess. Right, but they like technically, as Gus Edwards, funny enough, goes off the board here in the 17th round. There's technically Gus Edwards and Isaiah Likely. I just took Justice Hill on DraftKings the other day for the first time.
Nice.
Which is, how you're getting into some gross running back stuff. But I actually think he's not a horrible 20th round pick. He started over Gus Edwards in the preseason game, looked good. I don't know that matters, but I actually think Justice Hill is a more than reasonable 20th round pick on here and on DraftKings. But like, point being is like, there's not in Ravens Dolphins, either of those offenses, there's not a lot really to be had after, for the Dolphins, there's not a lot after round 2, but after round 9 or whatever, there's not a lot for either of those. Whereas, like you said, Chargers, you can do some different things, and Broncos, there's a lot of guys available.
Yeah. So
got him. P-Kurt has Justice Hill in his queue, and we bring him up. He already said he punted off this. Bernie said he punted off this team. Let's see what we're working with. How can you punt off a Cooper Kupp team? Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, 4th rounder Ramondre, Gabe Pittman, David Montgomery. Okay, we're getting worse. Rashad Bateman, Michael Thomas.
Oh, that's where you punted.
Achane, Warren, 12th round DJ Chark. Yep. Okay, you're starting to lose me. Sam Laporta, Jeff Wilson. This is fine. 17th round Calvin Austin. Okay.
This team is going to be fighting for its life to min cash.
That's shit, Jason. Thanks, Bernie. Unfortunate. I mean, once you run into 16th round Michael Wilson and 17th round Calvin Austin, And the team has Michael Thomas and David Montgomery.
We are fighting for our lives to get some
Bernie
money
is
with
trying
this
to
team.
offset. He's trying to offset the Michael Thomas and David Montgomery picks with a bunch of young, guys with some juice here late. But Michael Wilson doesn't even go in the 16th round on underdog here. That's a jeez. 2-2. Okay. You've gone down the path of, all right, I definitely punted this off. Let's have some fun down the stretch. I draft all those guys, by the way. Michael Wilson.
But not in the 12th round.
No, if you don't catch me, yeah. I don't have 12th round 2-2, believe it or not. I'm a crazy man, but that's a little bit crazy for me.
Getting a little suspect with that one. We have so many more of these to do, Eric.
Oh my God, so many. All right.
And I'm doing a lot of joint streams coming up. Working to get us a special guest where we do a draft stream on Thursday on Spike Week. Tomorrow night, I think I'm drafting a Bulldog at 6 p.m. on 444 with John Daigle.
Nice.
I think that's a pivot from doing the 555. We're going to do the $500 Bulldog instead.
That's fun.
Dean wants to draft the team.
Oh, I talked to Dean the other day. We were in a drafters draft actually together yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that. So I take my favorite little fun backdoor stack here with Washington. I know you and I've talked about this a little bit, and some folks in the chat. I think Shuby in the Discord was the guy who really honestly brought this up. I apologize if it wasn't Shuby, but I'm pretty sure it was Shuby. Mm-hmm. Drafting a bunch of solo quarterback teams on drafters, and I actually really love it. I love solo onesies on drafters. You don't have to do both in the same draft, but like mixing and matching, right? Right before this, I did a solo Mark Andrews team. I've done solo Lamar Andrews. I've mixed and matched, right? Sometimes solo both, sometimes solo one of them. Not all my drafts have a solo onesie position, onesie being quarterback or tight end. And when I do take like Mahomes, I do prefer actually to make it a solo onesie. I think Waller is fringe. Frankly, if I'm doing solo tight end, I really would prefer it be Kelsey or Andrews. I really don't even feel that comfortable with Kittle or Hawkinson or Waller, or definitely not Pitts. But I was leaning towards solo quarterback for sure in this, but I was probably going to take a late round tight end to go with Waller. But I built out such a big bet on Washington that's another one of those things that is like, sure, Sam Howell can be fine and I can still win, but like I have McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, and then I took my guy right now, late round tight end Cole Turner. If you prefer Logan Thomas, I think that's fine, but I just really like the Washington tight ends in general. I think one of them is going to be a big hit as a late round tight end. I think right now it's Cole Turner, but 2 months ago I thought it was Logan Thomas, so take that with a grain of salt. But I just generally think a Washington tight end is going to be a hit. So like once I've drafted McLaurin and Gibson and Cole Turner, it's like that probably means Sam Howell's going to fucking hit, dude. so like in the 19th round, I'm just
which makes more sense on this site too, because we talk about like stacking a team for week 17 and not needing a quarterback and stuff like that. But you're making a season-long bet. You're not making you're making a season-long bet on every site, but you're also making a week 17 bet on the other sites when you're building out for playoff stuff. Your Washington stack, you want them to go off weeks 1 through 17, not just 17.
Yep.
So having Howell, I think, actually makes more sense in the drafters format, is what I.
And when you have that big bet, right, you can get a huge payoff when they all come together and hit, because he can't on those weeks where McLaurin goes off, Cole Turner goes off, right? Gibson catches a bunch of balls. Sam Howell can beat Mahomes on those weeks. I know that sounds foolish, but like it's going to happen if Washington hits and if Sam Howell hits. Where is? I should take Braxton Berrios just to continue the meme. Kenny Galladay. Who the fuck is drafting Kenny Galladay? Tutu's gone, so I'll just go against B. Kurt and take Puka. It's my last.
There you go.
Definitely needed a wide receiver. I will run down my team, and then we can go to yours, and then we can run through anybody in the chat that wants to go. Gerardo finally pops back in the chat after sniping anybody because he doesn't know who either Cole Turner or Puka Nacua are. But I drafted out of the 102, and my quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes and Sam Howell. Also, getting Sam Howell at 218, I felt like it was like if I had to take him at cost, I was very fringy on that. I might have just rolled solo Mahomes, but getting him in the 19th, I felt like made a big difference for me. Obviously,
so real quick, just because I want to talk about that point on this particular draft, the 19th round overall, we had Howell, Kyler, Ritter, Pickett, Bryce Young go, and CJ Stroud and Ryan Tannehill go in round 18. So a lot of the quarterbacks got pushed down. Yep. This was something that I didn't consider as we were drafting, and it actually might have been one of my bigger mistakes for this particular draft. I don't think what I did was wrong, and we'll talk about it when we get to my team, but there might have been a way to make this team even better if I had considered the room a little more. And I honestly didn't think that they were going to get suppressed that much, so maybe not, but we can talk about that strategy when we go over my team.
Well, that doesn't happen. This is the first time that I've never seen Howell at 218. I know he goes at 191, as you see on your screen, ADP, but it's that or higher in every draft that I've been in. And the other quarterbacks, like you said, Ryan Tannehill's not available in round 18. Stroud is not available in round 19. Like that just doesn't happen. We just happen to be in this room with all the sickos, right? Everybody's in the chat. We're all staying in our own lanes, other than Gerardo is dipping and diving into everybody else's lane, like fucking OJ Simpson in the Bronco. Like, you know, he wasn't interested, but that you didn't know that really. Like you knew that people are going to stay in their own lanes. You talked about that earlier with the quarterback, but you didn't know that all the late round guys were going to get pushed to the 18th, 19th, 20th round. That, you know, so that was a little tricky thing. But anyway, Mahomes, Howell, obviously, you know me. So I do think this year, not to belabor the point, but zero RB on drafters is tough because you need those early points. But if there is ever a year for it to work, like zero RB / like quasi zero RB, right? Like Brees was your first running back, right? Like I would consider that kind of like quasi zero RB. Like it's not like the tried and true pure zero RB, but like your first running back's in round 4, you know, like old school fantasy football, that was crazy. Or like 4 years ago, if you took your first running back in round 4, people thought you were crazy. Times have changed. But you can do that now and win on drafters, I think. So anyway, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, Tank Bigsby, Damian Harris, Kenneth Gainwell, Raheem Mostert, Chase Brown, and Kyren Williams. That's actually a running back room that I love. That fits me very well. Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Kadarius Toney, Richie James, obviously both of those Chiefs stacked with Patrick Mahomes, Paris Campbell, and Puka Nacua, and then Darren Waller and Cole Turner at tight end. Actually, before we move on, you got any roasting of this team other than me continuing to draft Washington football team?
No, I actually do kind of like it. I do think you're right when you're punting the RB spot for some sort of zero RB build. This is kind of the way that I would normally play it.
It's a mix and match, right? Of like a little bit of like, Gainwell's going to have something for me early in the season. Mostert hopefully has something early in the season. Gibson has a role, but then some fly, right? Chase Brown, kind of like I feel like it was a mix and match running back room that was the goal.
Was Brian Robinson available when you took Gibson?
No.
Okay. Because if there was a choice between the two of them, just based on the other players that you got on this team, I would have preferred Brian Robinson. But if he wasn't available, obviously it doesn't matter. But that would be kind of like the only thing I would have looked at. But overall, it's it's a fun team, and you have Jamar Chase and you have Patrick Mahomes, and you're an asshole. So there's that.
Yeah, that's what makes this so good. All right. Also, we didn't mention this before, but if you're still hanging out with us, feel free to put a vote in after we run down Rob's team on which team you believe was better between Rob and I's.
I'm just going to read mine off, and then we'll go back to your screen with the board. This way I can just read it in order. So I went with Derek Carr and Joe Burrow at QB. I don't like that they do these like in inverse of where I pick them, but Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dalvin Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Malik Davis at wide receiver. See, it makes my team sound worse because I'd want to say,
I love this for me. I love this for me
because I'd want to say that I went Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, Alvin Kamara, and then go over the other running.
It's like if you had like a sick car collection and you started with like, the Chevy Traverse or whatever. And it was like, you have like a Ferrari and a Lambo and stuff. And you started with Derek Carr.
Yeah. Right. All right. Wide receivers are Olave, Tyler Boyd, Jaden Reed, Quentin Johnston, T. Higgins, Quez Watkins, Marvin Mims, Tyreek Hill at the end. And then we went Freiermuth, Irv Smith, Trey McBride. So I got.
Okay. I'm reading your team in order. This is driving me nuts. I'm sorry.
Bad,
my OCD is kicking in. This is not your
drafters,
fault.
We gotta fix this, drafters.
Zach, if you're listening, for the love of God, please put those in order because it's driving me absolutely nuts. Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow, J.K. Dobbins. Jesus Christ. That for like, I'll be honest with you. What's the meme or whatever, the kid that they interviewed, the kid, the football player, whatever. He's like, not going to lie, I thought they had us in the first half. That's how I felt when you got through 6 picks. I was like, oh my God, this team is killer. I don't dislike the rest of your team, of course, but I do think I started to at least make a little bit of a comeback. Quentin Johnston, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Tyler Boyd, Pat Freiermuth was your first tight end, Marvin Mims, Derek Carr, Irv Smith, Jaden Reed, Kareem Hunt, CEH, Trey McBride, Malik Davis, and Quez Watkins. So I mean, no real notes. I don't think you did anything wrong.
My mistake. Freiermuth was my mistake.
What would you do at tight end differently?
Freiermuth should have been a wide receiver here, whether it be
and then another late round tight end, Hunter Henry or something like that.
Yeah, that was the big mistake for this team. I should have had one more wide receiver in the 11th round, is what I think my mistake is on this particular team.
But I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter when you get that first 6. Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow, J.K. Dobbins. Jesus, that makes it move. That makes it move. Also, Jason, you're banned, please. People don't need to know the truth that B Rob was available, and I just clicked the top guy at the top of the ADP. It's okay. Okay. Jason is number 3. Wants us to run through his team really quickly. He took Christian McCaffrey, Calvin Ridley, Josh Allen, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, Jahan Dotson. Love it. James Cook, Elijah Moore, AJ Dillon, Dalton Kincaid. We may have a super quick conversation about how I do love taking a huge home run swing with Dalton Kincaid as your first tight end on drafters. Tyler Algier, Aaron Rodgers, Van Jefferson, Roshan Johnson, Jerome Ford, Luke Musgrave, Ty Chandler, Michael Mayer, Corey Davis, and Justin Watson. At first glance, no, I think this looks good. I love how you kind of structured it with the anchor CMC. This is how you structure an anchor CMC team with an elite quarterback. You stacked Allen with Dalton Kincaid, which is a really fun, like, I love that bet on any site, but on drafters. So like weekly winners and drafters, I love the Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid stack because it's like, I don't care about week 17. I don't care about the playoffs. It's like, if Dalton Kincaid is we know Josh Allen is Josh Allen. If Dalton Kincaid hits like in cumulative scoring over the course of the season, this guy's a top 5 tight end. Like the gains, like you are live as hell to win this thing. I love that stack. And I love it with like an anchor CMC and then a bunch of early wide receivers. I know James Cook
You
is a
got
pass
oh,
catcher.
yeah, that's
I'm not a
Arizona, yeah.
huge fan of James Cook with Josh Allen and cumulative scoring, but that's like really splitting
Micro.
hairs. But I love the rest of this.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun team. Is
I
what
wouldn't
I would
take Aaron
say.
Rodgers. I guess I would say that. If I drafted Josh Allen,
Who did he
I
have stacked with Aaron Rodgers?
fucking nobody. Right? Am I missing something?
Corey
No.
Davis at the end.
Yeah. So I would Aaron Rodgers.
So
Don't do
I
that.
think we've seen this in 2 of our drafts now where people almost panic take Aaron Rodgers when they don't need to. I think it was more egregious the other day because they could have had Daniel Jones as opposed to Aaron Rodgers. But I don't understand why we would take Aaron Rodgers when you have Deontay Johnson, so you can get Kenny Pickett. You have Jahan Dotson. You could have went Sam Howell if you wanted to do that. You grabbed Van Jefferson afterwards, which means you could have grabbed Matt Stafford at some point.
Can backdoor something. You can do solo Josh Allen. There's so many options once you draft Josh Allen. And if you had Garrett Wilson, I still actually wouldn't draft Aaron Rodgers, but it would at least be defensible. I don't think that there's any reason to draft Aaron Rodgers on this team, personally.
Like if he had Garrett Wilson, I wouldn't like.
That's
I
what I'm
wouldn't
saying.
say anything.
I would not draft it. You have Josh. Your bet on this team in cumulative season long scoring is Josh Allen is a fucking smash, and you're counting on his score almost every week. Almost, right?
Mhm.
You can say, okay, I want another quarterback for it. Like I drafted Sam Howell with Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, I'm counting on Sam Howell to give me a couple of weeks, right? To gain me some points. But that's correlated to his weapons. I have Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson and Cole Turner. If you had Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall or whatever, right? Alan Lazard, something, I could at least say, okay, I can see it. I still wouldn't do it, but I would push that quarterback. If you want to take the second quarterback with Josh Allen, I think that's fine. But I would push it, or I would make sure I have that premium stack where the hit is a big hit. Like you need big hits in this. You got to beat 100,000 teams. You need big hits, especially when you have Josh Allen, because Aaron Rodgers has to outscore Josh Allen, which is already going to be very tough for him. So
I'm not anti taking the quarterback in that range if it makes sense, is what I would say. Like I'm not as opposed to it. It just
if you have so Russ went in the same round. If you have Judy, right? You have Judy and you took Russ, I'd be like, that's fine. I still actually personally also wouldn't do it.
Which he might if you scroll up because that's the range he goes.
No. No. Yeah, see, I would have done like Pickett, Howell, something like that. That's what I would have done personally. All right. Let's see. Gerardo is what pick number? Here we go. Travis, the Kelsey team. Oh, yeah.
Well, Gerardo, before we go through your team, you're a fucking thief, is what we've determined through this.
You're an asshole, and you're never allowed back, is what we've learned today. Obviously, kidding. Travis Kelsey, Devonta Smith, Jonathan Taylor. Fun start. I don't want to get too much into the JT thing. I know we're running long on time, but I am a sissy girl, but I have been struggling to click the button, and I will say I respect the people that are buying the dip, because this dude is way too good, and if everything works out, the situation is way too good for him. He can win you a lot of money at his cost. I haven't been doing it much, and so you
got to let us read your team before you start defending picks.
Don't backpedal before don't backpedal before the sauce hits. Just let it come first. You can defend yourself later. Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, Justin Herbert, unstacked Justin Herbert, not my favorite thing. Marquise Brown, Treylon Burks, Sky Moore, Samaje Perine, and Khalil Herbert. This price I was wondering what the price on Khalil Herbert would be, because my God, I can't get him anymore. We talked about this yesterday. I cannot get, the steam is crazy on Khalil Herbert. Gerald Everett at pick 126 feels I don't think Conklin was a panic. Gerald Everett at pick 126 was a fucking panic. MVS, who you sniped from both me and Rob, Jonathan Mingo, Tyjae Spears. I like Fournette. Makes sense.
15th round Fournette.
Yeah, maybe not that price. Maybe more
Can you
like
click on him?
two.
What's he going on drafters? Because you can get him like 18th round on other
I don't have
sites.
the 80. We don't have the ADP on here.
Drafters. I have thoughts for some of your stuff.
Yeah, I don't. We'll talk. I got a meeting with Zach tomorrow. Fournette, Josh Palmer. I mean, Conklin was not your. What are we talking about?
Round, Josh Palmer.
What are you talking about? Conklin was a panic. You took Gerald Everett at 126 and Josh Palmer at 187. That was the fucking panic. Tyler Conklin.
You fell on your computer and the last 7 picks were just done because you were flailing around wildly.
Also, don't take Tannehill and Desmond Ridder with Justin Herbert. For me personally, I actually think drafters is one where I'm real rigid about the amount of quarterbacks I take because around an early guy. If you take, if your first quarterback is Aaron Rodgers or something, by all means, take 3. But like, if you took Justin Herbert and you need Ryan Tannehill and Desmond Ridder to win this tournament, that's not good. Like something went terribly wrong. So Gerardo, we love you. But I think the way you handled the Chargers ruined your draft. Really, ultimately. Everything else was fine, but you took Herbert and then kind of like panic stacked him way too early and then added 2 more quarterbacks. It was like you hated the fact that you did it. You know what I mean? You got late and you were like, God damn it, that Charger stack sucks ass. So let's just take these other quarterbacks who are stacked and like, look, I mean, a Treylon Burks, Ryan Tannehill stack and a Desmond Ridder, Drake London stack looks really good, but it looks worse with Herbert and a way overpriced Gerald Everett and Josh Palmer. So yeah, I gotta love Isaiah Spiller on the end just to let's just compound the sadness.
I just like Josh Palmer in the 16th round because Jesus is definitely who you're gonna need.
Does he even get drafted?
All right, let's look at Updog's team. He wants to get roasted, and then Suave as well. So let's get.
All right, Eckler. Oh God, Updog and Eckler. Shocked, I say. He loves Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley. All right, Keenan Allen. Yeah, okay, I get it now. He says, got sniped. Got Herbert stolen from him. I clearly see why now with Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen. Christian Watson. Aaron Jones started to build out Green Bay. Tyler Lockett. Jesus, you got some olds. Thank God Christian Watson is in here because the average age of these guys is very, very old. Kyle Pitts. Okay, we're offsetting it a little bit. Back to the old James Conner.
Speaking of old.
Back to the old James Conner. Romeo Dobbs. Jacoby Myers. Do we have a quarterback yet? No. Jacoby Myers. Dalton Schultz. KJ Osborne. Rondale Moore. Jordan Love. Okay, I like Jordan Love on this team. Rashid Shaheed, Tank Dell, Robert Woods. Okay. Got the little CJ Stroud stack. Pickett. Is that naked Pickett? Yeah, we panicked. Yeah. We got locked out of quarterback and 19th round Kenny Pickett. I'm not arguing. Like
right.
I get it. It just sucks. You wish you had one of the guys and we panic. Okay, I got it. We panicked Darnell Washington. Backup rookie tight end stacked with Kenny Pickett. So at least you tried. What's that? Congratulations. At least you tried.
You and B Kurt are going to be fighting for your lives trying to win cash with these teams.
Congratulations. You are not going to win $300,000. I root for you on every draft that you do. I hope you can turn your $20 into $40.
What I will say that I do like that he did is he was clearly setting up for this Herbert stack, right? And he didn't make it a point to, when he's planning on going elite QB with the build, he doesn't panic and grab Trevor Lawrence or something like that in order to make it still work, right? Like he's like, okay, well, I've already started this. I can do this Green Bay thing. and I can just punt QB now. So that's what I think is like if he takes anything out of this draft, and obviously Updog drafts all the time. We know Updog, but
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
he knows what he's doing. But like for other people, this is a great lesson in just because you had a plan, when that plan gets knocked off kilter, learning how
Great
to
point.
adjust to that plan and playing it a different way. Do I love the team? No, but I love the adjustments that were made.
My only thing that I would do is my actual only criticism. I was joking about all the other stuff. I actually think you did a really good job. Connor, I think you could like you took Eckler and Saquon and you took Aaron Jones. Like you got screwed with Herbert, right? The plan of this draft was Herbert. I assume you took so you took Aaron Jones after Herbert got sniped from you here in the 5th round, right? Which is fine. That's fine. But then when we come back around to Connor, I know that the quarterbacks were not great right there, but I would just like set up another stack or like do something to help build this team as opposed to like just something other than the 4th running back. And I know Updog knows this and he's tilting losing Herbert, but like you said, this was like an awesome pivot. Like now let's just make this the Green Bay bet. Jordan Love is awesome, right? Jordan Love and CJ Stroud and Kenny Pickett, they're going to come together and give me a quarterback one room. That's what you do on this team. This is a really well done. We're joking about how it came together because you got a little bit screwed. I think the Connor one you would love to have back probably.
Well, the Connor one, look at this 2v2. He could have he got Connor and Jacoby Myers. A 2v2 for that is he could have had Bateman and Khalil Herbert instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would, 10 out of 10 times I want that other one.
Or could have set up.
Had Charbonnet. Charbonnet went before him because it was coming back on round 10. So Charbonnet was gone. It would have been Herbert.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Could have set up, but you just could have set up something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I know these are like really micro little takes. It was actually like you said, like this is an awesome job of like, God damn it. I tried to do this Chargers thing and somebody screwed me. I did a good job of pivoting, but you get the point. There was one more, right?
Slave and the right next to Gerardo, right in between Gerardo and Updog. The Bijan team.
Right. Bijan. Ooh, man. Bijan Pollard is pretty sexy of a running back start. Debo, DJ Moore. Oh, man. Okay. Now we're talking Debo with the DJ Moore and Field stack. George Pickens, Dallas Goedert, elite tight end, Rashad White, and Rashad Penny. Juju Smith-Schuster. No, you're losing me. Juju Smith-Schuster. Jameson Williams missing 6 games. Rashee Rice. Okay. I'm a little worried about Rice personally, but I get the swing for sure. Isaiah Hodgins, same thing. I'm a little bit worried about. That's like a micro player take, so I'm not going to get too bogged down in that. Jared Goff stacked with JMO. Okay. Dawson Knox, Taysom Hill. I actually kind of like the Taysom Hill swing on a Goddard team. Brock Purdy. So I would not take Brock. I know you have Debo, but if you need Debo on a Fields golf team, you're in trouble. And if you need Purdy on a Fields and golf team, you are really in trouble. It's not anything wrong about Purdy, and I know you were probably looking at the fact that Purdy goes at like 150 overall in drafters, and you got him at 199, and it's like, oh my God, how do I pass on this? But sometimes you just have to. Then Justin Ross, Zach Evans, and Cedric Tillman. I don't really have any. Personal player takes aside, I don't have anything for this other than I would not take the third quarterback.
I wouldn't have taken Goddard in that spot either. I think that because you went with 2 elite running backs early and you grabbed an elite quarterback,
want the receiver.
I would have wanted to grab Flowers, Cooks, Moore, Bateman, any of those wide receivers because you have Debo, DJ Moore, George Pickens. I would have punted tight end down to that range that we were kind of like talking a little bit of shit about, and I would have grabbed Komet in that range somewhere. Would have made a little bit more
Yeah,
sense
that's
to
true.
me.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Or
Right.
Laporta.
So,
Laporta.
or Laporta, like either of those guys. I mean, Komet went in the 14th round in this draft. So you could have punted Komet down the board a little bit and had a better wide receiver. And I think your room changes. I think just taking that other wide receiver fixes most of your board with the other things that you can do around there.
Right. Think
Right.
about take out Goddard, put the wide receiver in there, and then right, it's like Tetris. You slide Laporta over into Colton's team, take out Hodgins, right? Like that 2v2 feels really nice. Like take out Goddard for an elite wide receiver, but just slide Laporta over to stack with his Goff and JMO and get rid of Hodgins. That feels really, really good. So again, it's like nitpicking. There's a little two, like if the only thing you're nitpicking is like a 2v2, it's probably like you did a fine job. But just little things like shit, I do this to my own teams. After I get done every time, I'm like, God damn it, I wish I would have done this 2v2 or 3v3 or whatever. But we got to get out of here.
Looking for ways to get better. Yeah, we do have to get out of here. I have a show
gotta get out
in 25 minutes.
Rob has to go talk about some ghosts and crazy
Virginia tonight. Alexandria,
okay.
Virginia.
Okay.
Some fun stuff.
We got like tons and tons of content. Yes, thank you. C Slave. I didn't even want to say it. Change it. Slave. Yeah, I will do that. C Slave. That's what we're gonna go with. C Slave moving forward. We're gonna be bringing lots more content in general, as you guys know, but lots more drafters content as well because quite frankly, everybody's drafting on Underdog. You guys probably kind of even know what to do on Underdog. We're definitely gonna be drafting on DraftKings as well, but we're gonna be attacking this overlay on drafters. So be on the lookout for more of that. And on Friday, our next live stream, Rob and I are doing the shots draft. So be on the lookout for that. We're gonna hang out on a Friday night, draft a best ball team, and every time we do something, a prompt, a challenge, we're going to take a shot, an actual alcoholic shot. And Rob is a lightweight. We hung out and drank in Nashville, and I drank him under the table. I actually don't remember. So that could be totally.
I drank a lot that night, but you wouldn't even do karaoke.
That is true. I wouldn't do karaoke. Here's how drunk I was in Nashville. Normally you get so drunk that you do karaoke. I was so intoxicated, I was absolutely not interested in doing karaoke. So that tells you about how much fun we had in karaoke, had in Nashville. But we'll be back on Friday for Friday evening, a special edition on Spike Week. We're going to do a fun draft on Friday. Go grab a 6-pack, come hang out with us, and we'll see you guys on Friday. And make sure you check out Rob's ghost show after this, Hometown Ghost Stories on YouTube. We will see you guys in a couple of days.
Real quick. 9 p.m. tonight for Hometown Ghost Stories. Tomorrow night, drafting on 444 with John Daigle. Potentially a special guest Thursday to do a draft on DraftKings. Friday is the shot stream. It's the season, baby. We're hitting it all running. So just wanted to make sure we got everything out there.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys the next couple of days. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.